Hello, 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 and welcome to this month's amazing lineup on the Her Version Impact, expanding rapidly with over 300 YouTube videos, 60 female guest speakers, and over 40 Impact panel guests. We are now on 6 different podcast platforms, including Spotify, iTunes, and SoundCloud. I am thrilled to have a female panel filled this month as we talk about emotional and mental health. The conversation around this topic will be broad and will guarantee to educate you on so many areas of your life. Join us as we dive deep into our personal journeys to improving our mental and emotional health and the challenges along the way. Her Version is a contemporary global stage, a platform created for bold storytelling, providing stories, tools, and advice on how to break free from life struggles and design your own vibrant life. For those of you that don't know me, I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. If you are new to this podcast, make sure you follow, like, subscribe, and share. Let's jump right in. Jennifer, thank you so much for taking the floor. And I would like Jennifer to hand the mic over to Miss Lisa McCourt.
Oh, I didn't know yet. Hi, y'all. So in my joy training groups, I build a lot of our practices around this understanding that our whole experience of life is nothing but our perception of life. All day long, from the moment we wake up till we go to bed, we're just swimming through this sea of perception. We're all seeing reality through a keyhole, and none of our keyholes are lined up the same. And that's really what determines our emotional mental health more than all these things that are happening out there that we think are so important, all these external factors. So my question for any of y'all that resonate with that premise, which I imagine is something that would be the case here, what do you yourself do, either personally, or what do you coach your clients to do to open up perception filter, to kind of peek beyond the blinder? I have a podcast all about this topic, so I love collecting this valuable, juicy tools from people like y'all. What do you do to help people see beyond that filter, that blinder? Yeah, Jen.
So I love this question because you're so right. It's about the stories that we tell ourselves. So for a go-to exercise with my clients, I tend to tap into Brene Brown's Shitty First Draft. Yeah, right, Christine? Because it's the story that we tell ourselves. And until we get clear in the fact that it's just a story. And for those of you who aren't familiar, the Shitty First Draft is when something happens and we start to go down the rabbit hole of the story. So like the best example is when you're texting back and forth with somebody and then you say something and then you see the dots and then the dots go away. And then you see the dots and then the dots go away and you're like, oh my God, did I say something wrong? Like they must hate me. It's like, they were probably cooking dinner and they probably started to respond and then put the phone down. Like it has nothing to do with you. So the Shitty First Draft, or stormy first draft, if you don't like cursing or if you want to use it with children, if you just take time to write it down. You just write down, like, what's the story that I'm telling myself? And once it's on paper, you can then look and be like, how true is this? What's another truth? What else could be happening? And you can start to create other stories that are likely more universally true rather than being true to ourselves. So amazing question. There's so many other exercises and tools. So I'd love to hear from everybody else as well. But thank you for opening that up because it's so important.
Jen, can you, I just saw there's a comment, a question about what you just said.
Yeah, so it is a concept. Brene Brown she is a PhD who researches like empathy, shame, resilience. She talks about this in a lot of her books. I believe she brings it up in Dare to Lead. I think she also talks about it in Rising Strong. Highly recommend Rising Strong by Brene Brown. She talks about the Shitty First Draft, but she also talks about the 3 steps of cultivating resilience, which includes kind of having your face down moment and then pulling yourself out. And she does talk a lot about the story. So thank you for that question. Brene Brown, highly recommend Rising Strong if you're looking for a book.
Amazing.
Yeah, great book, by the way. Great book, everybody. Rising Strong is a good one.
All of the Brene Browns, yeah, starting
All
with
I
of the
know
Brene
there isn't one that I
Brown.
don't like. He just came out with a new one, I think.
Yeah,
Atlas of the Heart.
she's a superstar.
Yeah.
So nobody else has any tools like that they want to share or talk about? Yeah, Susan.
Yeah, love the topic. I've been studying. I love Brene Brown, and what we say to ourselves, of course, is all that creates who we are and who we think we are. I've been working with Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he has a book called "Breaking the Habit of Becoming of Yourself." It's that book. It's really, if we are who we're made up of what we think about all day long. And he talks about making memories of your future self and to be more aligned with who you are becoming and what you want versus focusing on the past and mistakes you made and regrets and staying in that realm versus let me just switch over. So I'm working with helping people stop focusing on what they don't want and focus on what they want. And how do we create those future memories as if something happened? How would you feel going back to, I know we were talking about feeling and we were talking about feeling, and everything's about how you feel. How would you feel if what you want happened?
Absolutely, because our subconscious doesn't know the difference, and it's going to create from our inner landscape creates our outer landscape all the time. I'm so glad you brought up Joe Dispenza. I teach his work in my groups, and he says that at any given moment, there are 400 billion bits of perception available to us around us, and we can take in about 2,000 of those bits at any given moment, and our human brains have only evolved to actually register about 50 bits of information at any given moment. So what determines which 50 bits get selected to come through and land in our consciousness is that filter that's made up of all our past beliefs and experiences, and it's unique for each one of us. And we start building it when we're tiny, and we have this confirmation bias built in. So whatever impression we got from our caregivers about who we are and what our place in the world is and what men are and women are and love is and power is and money is, we're just going to continue to selectively look for more evidence to put in that belief bucket. And that's how we evolve. And that's why it's so hard to open up that perception filter, because it's just like this membrane that we're experiencing the world through. Thank you for bringing up Joe.
Yeah, I love Joe Dispenza. I need to tap into him more.
Yeah.
Consistently.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Christine.
So I wanted to answer your question, Lisa, about helping people sort of question their thoughts. One of the tools that I use is EFT, or emotional freedom technique, or some people call it tapping. And it's a mindfulness modality that helps relax the mind and body. And when the body is relaxed, the emotions tend to float more easily to the surface. And they're also, because we're relaxed, they're a little less scary, because so often we'll have a thought in our head that's scary, like maybe I'm not happy in my marriage, or maybe I need, a new job, or maybe whatever. And we kind of freak out and we shut it down and we can't even look at it. So with tapping, we relax the body, and then it's easier to look at those thoughts, and also to then kind of go into possibility. Well, first of all, is that really true? And then what is another possibility, and can I sort of lean into that? And I think, like, going to what you were saying with, there are all of these thoughts that are possible and we can only grasp onto a certain number. We can choose the thoughts that we want to think. Like, we can choose the thoughts that serve us. And it's not always like, oh, I want to think that thought, therefore it's done. Sometimes we have to practice thinking those thoughts, and, like you were saying, looking for the evidence, because our brain always wants to go to the negative evidence, and to, like, consciously think, oh no, I want to believe that I can create this business. So my brain is telling me all of these negative reasons why that's not going to happen. I'm going to choose to look for the reasons that it will happen, and I'm going to train my brain to believe that this is going to work. And even when I fail, I'm going to remind myself that failure is part of the process, and I can still do this. And it's really like just raising that level of awareness and deciding what you want to think. And I don't, like, I used to get really angry with people when I heard them say like happiness is a choice, you know, because I would be like, you know, you have no idea what I'm dealing with. Like, don't tell me that, right? But it's not a choice. It is a series of choices that we make every day. It's consistency, it's little steps, and it's the choice of saying, I'm going to figure this out, even if it takes me 10 years or, you know, whatever. I'm going to figure this out because I'm worth it. And I have this belief and I'm going to do it.
Absolutely. And we have a comment. Someone on the Facebook watching us says that she uses EFT with her daughter when she gets anxious. It's perfect for her.
It's so great. It's so good for anxiety.
I use it in concert with Byron Katie's work, which is really powerful too.
Byron Katie, yeah, the work.
Excuse me. Also about questioning our thoughts, questioning reality, taking it down to that point where you can see that there really is no objective reality anyway. We may as well choose the reality that we want to create because we're creating it all in every second anyway with our own.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Such a great concept.